everybody, welcome in and welcome back to another tier list video. Today we are ranking all of the boss battle themes in chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune. If you're a fan of Deltarune and Undertale, please go check out my Undertale boss battle theme tier list. As always, for each theme in this tier list, we are going to be applying the vibe check. We'll be looking at the visuals, the identity, the build, and the emotion of each track, and using all of that to make a comprehensive score to put on a tier list of every boss battle theme in chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune. We have a lot to go through, but before we can get into that, I want to say a very special thank you to Viper Varen for this tier list. And I want to say a very special thank you to all of you. This year, we were able to get the channel up to 120 subscribers, which has been a huge accomplishment for me. If you like 3D prints, if you like video games, if you like music, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so that way you are notified whatever I post, whenever I post. You are not going to want to miss a video in 2026. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the tier list. First up on the tier list, we have Heartbeat True. This one is very, very short. There's not really a lot for me to talk about. However, it does sound very identifiable. It kind of has like this dark, echoey reverb effect going on that gives it this kind of really cool environment. And this is technically a secret boss fight. It being a little bit shorter and kind of being a little bit more airy and a little bit more spacious kind of makes sense in this regard. It's not really something that you were really meant to see or something that you were meant to spend hours on. I don't think it's good, but I also don't think it's bad. This is kind of the issue that I've had with Undertale themes, and I assume Deltarune themes going forward, is that sometimes there's just not enough to actually rank it with. I like this theme. I think if it were a full track, it would definitely be a lot more interesting to me. And so I'm going to put Heartbeat True all the way up here at B tier. There's just not really enough to put it in A or S, but it's also not bad. So Smart Race sounds a lot more like an Undertale theme. You're hit with that sine wave synth that's just kind of so identifiable with Undertale. And it's kind of these simplistic video game sounds that put you right into that franchise and let you know what you're listening to. And then I think just the arrangement of it all, the bass that's going in the background, the percussion that's moving, keeping you forward, these were all things that I said during the Undertale video. And I think that all applies here in Deltarune as well. I really like Smart Race. I think it's a really good theme. I think it kind of hits the Deltarune Undertale vibe on the head. I definitely like it more than Heartbeat True. And for that reason, I'm going to put Smart Race all the way up here in A tier. Next here on the list, we have the boss theme for Lancer, aptly titled Versus Lancer. I like this theme a lot. It's really fun. It kind of has that Undertale vibe, which is something that you're going to hear me say throughout this video. One of the things that I'm noticing about the percussion is that there's a lot of gated reverb on there. It's one of the things that I would use when I'm making a lot of lo-fi or any remixes, things like that. It kind of helps get that retro game vibe. And I mean, you know, obviously with it just being the stabs and blips and blobs that's happening in Undertale, retro games definitely make sense. And I mean, this aids the visual of the character, going back to kind of being related to King and Queen. There's nothing that really sounds too serious or too striking. It kind of just feels like, yeah, it's kind of happy-go-lucky. Everyone's having a great time. I mean, you're suffering as the player during the boss fight, but that's kind of the Deltarune MO. But I really like Lancer's theme. I think it has that kind of classic Undertale sound. And at the end of the day, it makes me happy. It makes me excited. And that's what you want from boss battle music. You want it to elicit some kind of emotion, to make you feel something or put you in some environment. And I think that Lancer's theme does that really well. So I'm going to put Lancer up here in A tier. I'm going to put him in front of Smart Race. We'll put him in the front of A tier. In the front. For now, there's plenty of themes left. The theme for K Round is called Checker Dance, and at first listen, it's really, really interesting. It kind of has Undertale and Deltarune do this thing sometimes where it's not really like an instrument that's playing, it's just kind of a sample that's coming in, but it's like a pitch shifted sample, so it's still musical in a way. It's still playing that melody, it's still playing that harmony. K Round is the first song on this tier list where we hear that. I think when you look at the vibe track and you look at something like Identity, this is a track where Identity really stands out. Visually speaking, this does kind of help add to all of the chaos that's on screen. And I mean, really, my only problem with this is the build. It just kind of loops back in on itself, but that is kind of par for the course for Undertale and Deltarune. That's just something that we kind of have to deal with every track. It's not really a game where you're going to get these 2-3 minute amazing tracks that are complete orchestrations of everything that's going on. That's just not the budget that Toby Fox had. And so I really like Checker Dance. I really like K Round's theme. but I don't know that it really knocks everything out of the park to get to that S tier. I definitely like it more than Heartbeat True. I kind of have some of the same gripes that I have with Smart Race. I think I am going to put Checker Dance up here in A tier, but we're going to put it in between Lancer and Smart Race. Were we really expecting Susie to have a bad boss battle theme? Susie's theme is epic. It is awesome. Immediately, you come in with these MIDI guitars, still keeping you in that video game realm, but completely separating you from anything else that Deltarune or Undertale has ever put out. Honestly, you could tell me that this one was written by a metal band, and I'd believe it. I think the weak part of Susie's theme is the build. It's kind of using the same harmonies, melodies, and motifs that we've heard throughout the entire franchise. But I'd also argue that that's part of the point with this theme, because Susie is such a central character to everything that's happened so far. I really like Susie's theme a lot. They did a really good job of making her stand out, and they did a really good job of making sure that this theme carries the weight that Susie's boss battle should have. And it is for that reason that Susie is going to be our very first S tier of the tier list, all the way up at the top. And I know I make this joke every time, but no, it is not S for Susie. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even need to listen to Jevel's theme. Shout out to Anaya Satoa, twitch.tv/IS_girl. Check her out. Oh, but anyway, I've heard Jevel's theme a lot over those few streams, so I am very familiar with this one. I actually really like Jevel's theme. Yeah, I think if you listen to it enough, it can definitely push you over the edge. But that's also kind of the idea, right? And I mean, what I really, really love is there's just like this big kind of like brass going on in the background, this dun 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 dun. And it kind of keeps it in like this circus vibe, which makes sense for Jevel. That's one that I still enjoy, and I think that it's one that still gets me excited. Really, my one problem with Jevel's theme is that it doesn't evolve. It doesn't really turn into anything. There's no B-side, and maybe that's by design. Maybe that's the build of the track. They do want you to almost go a little bit insane. They want you to crack just a little bit. But from a theme perspective, I don't really know that that really helps. I think it helps your gameplay, and so I like it. It's unique, but it still has some drawbacks. It's not S tier, and at the end of the day, when we're talking about A tier, we're only talking about themes that have a couple things wrong with it. Jevel's theme is good. It's unique. It's identifiable. But I don't know that it's the best. So maybe it's because of everything I just said, or maybe it's because I had to watch Anaya Satoa struggle on him for 3 streams. But I'm going to put Jevel at the front of B tier. And now we have come to King's theme, Chaos King. And this one feels like a full song. It's got an intro, it's got an outro, it's got a B-side, it's got a bridge, it's got a hook, it's got everything you want. And something that stands out to me in this track, it kind of has this kind of like regal overtone to it all. But then at the bottom of it, you hear this choir inverted backwards, right? Almost kind of sounding otherworldly, maybe demonic, coming in on those chords. And it's just a really cool effect. I really enjoy it. And I mean, when you talk about emotion, this definitely elicits the thought of being in a boss fight. This sounds like boss battle music. And like I was saying, it kind of has these regal overtones. So it fits with King, and it fits with that whole character. I really like the Chaos King theme a lot. My question right now is, do I like it more than Susie's theme? And Susie's theme is really, really good, but I don't know that it can stand alone as its own track. And I think that's where the distinction between these two come in, is that Susie makes sense in an Undertale perspective, where you have the Undertale things, you have your Undertale harmonies, you have your Undertale motifs, you have your Undertale melodies. King can stand on its own. And it's for that reason that I am going to put Chaos King all the way up in the very, very, very front, if the tier list website will let me do it, in the very front of S tier. Now, this one I might be a little bit impartial to, being a TV head myself, but the cyber battle theme is really fun to listen to. I don't really know that it goes after all of the intense emotions that King or Susie may have made you felt. Definitely a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more jovial. Almost kind of sounds like menu music for a video game, or like waiting music on hold. It's not a bad vibe, it's just definitely a much different vibe than you would expect. And from what I understand, this one is kind of like 3 themes kind kind of mashed together. I guess you hear them separately in the game, but then on the OST, they're all kind of one. And I think that's a really cool experience. It's a really cool way to just take some work that you'd be doing anyway and get something else out of it. And if it's a track that you're particularly fond of, where you really like the trumpets or you really like the percussion or something like that, it makes it easier to remix and make your own. So I don't hate Cyber Battle. I think it's really fun, but I also don't know that it kind of carries all of the weight that other tracks have carried on this tier list. I think it's like a solid 75%, right? Like, it's so different from everything else that it is identifiable. It has the story behind it of each piece coming together on the track, which helps aid the visuals of what's going on. And while the emotions aren't intense fear and dread, it does still get emotion from you. So really, my only problem with it is the build. I think I'm gonna put it here at the end of A tier. I don't think it's the worst on the tier list, but I also don't think it's the best. I think it's kind of a nice middle of the road. And so I think the end of A tier is a very appropriate spot for it right now. I don't know how to explain this, but please let me know in the comments section if I'm missing something here, because it almost sounds like Spamton's theme is the first one with real instruments. It's not a bad sound. I really, really like it, but you can tell right away that it sounds beefier, it sounds fuller. Maybe Toby Fox just did something on the post-processing side. There's a lot of things that you can do to kind of expand and widen everything, but this just kind of feels different. This almost just feels like getting real money and being able to hire real musicians. And then you have these kind of like big 90s chords, right? These kind of like NBA chords coming in, stabbing at the top, putting in that melody, putting in that counter melody. The main synth is riding that melody, and then you have all of these sound effects put on top as well. It's very hard to argue that this does not aid the visuals of Spamton, and it is extremely hard to argue that this does not have an extremely unique identity. So far, this is my favorite track on the entire tier list. I can't help but love Spamton's theme, and so Spamton is going to go all the way at the tippy top here at S tier. Next up, we have the theme for Task Manager. Task Manager is a boss that I didn't even know existed in Deltarune. And that's because they're a mini boss, so that's why they were hard to find. I was also able to find that they don't have their own theme. Their theme that plays is the Pandora Palace theme that plays throughout everything else. And if you've watched these videos before, then you should know that you have to have your own unique theme to be on the tier list. It is a boss battle theme tier list, and if you are not a boss battle theme, you're not on the list. Plus, since I didn't know who this was, it took me like 20 minutes to find them. So, you can agree or disagree. This is not about the Pandora Palace theme. I like that theme. I think it's a very nice level theme. If you want to see Undertale or Deltarune levels, let me know in the comments below. As far as boss battle themes are concerned, this ain't fun. And so, Task Manager's theme is going to go down at the very bottom in D tier. And unless something is really, really bad, it's probably going to stay there. Now, I would do the bit of how I don't know how to say this name and be, cut around 30 different times trying to figure it out together. However, I do know how to say this name because it's in the name of the track. It's pronounced Rules. Sure. I really like this track. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. It's nice, upbeat, up-tempo. Apparently, when you look at all of the Deltarune themes in the OST, this is track number 69. Nice. One of the things that I really like about this boss in particular are the mechanics behind it, not necessarily the music. But, I mean, I think, when we look at the vibe check, this is something that's extremely identifiable and extremely unique. We were talking about it being fast-paced, upbeat, and up-tempo. That all comes over to the emotion of it as well, right? It gets you excited. It gets you ready for the boss fight that you're about to enter into, whether you want to or not. I think one of the things that I really like about this song is that it's very to the beat. It's very quick, very timed, very militaristic. It almost sounds like there have been a set of rules that have been established for this song. And I think that they do a really good job of kind of holding themselves to that feel. I mean, let's talk about the negative. There's not really a lot of B-side to it. It is pretty quick. And since it is kind of repetitive and it is kind of militaristic, once you've heard one section of it, you've kind of heard the entire thing. So I don't really know that the build actually helps it. I think it definitely helps elicit the emotions and it definitely helps the visuals of that, but I don't really know that it really helps the build. And yes, it has this unique sound and it sounds different than everything that's going on, but is there anything that would really clue you into this being Rules boss fight. I don't know. I think a lot of the gimmick of this boss fight is the boss itself, the rules that go into that boss. And I think that's a really cool experience. I don't necessarily know that the boss fight helps out too much and everything. And I really like this track, but the ones that are in S and A tier are really good and have really kind of elicited an immediate response, while the ones that are in B haven't really gotten there. And I like this track. I don't think that it does anything inherently wrong, but it does have some things that I would change. And so I'm going to put Rules up here at B tier. It has been brought to my attention that I have ranked Spamton incorrectly. The Big Shot theme is actually what I thought I was ranking when I ranked Spamton, and that is really good. That is the theme for this Spamton Neo. So we are going to put Spamton Neo up here in S tier in the very front, as I really like Big Shot. Now, the actual Spamton theme itself, I'm actually not a huge fan of, especially knowing what it becomes. There's a lot more that could come from it. Now, I'm not going to put it low intentionally because it screwed me up on the themes, but I'm actually not really that big of a fan of Spamton's original boss theme. I think the Big Shot theme is a lot better. And when I'm looking at the rest of this list, I'm looking at A tier, I'm looking at B tier. A tier are things that have really knocked it out of the park, and B tier have been things that are kind of okay. Like, I don't hate Spamton's theme, but at the same time, I want to acknowledge that there is a difference between his original theme and the Big Shot theme for Spamton Neo. And I think Spamton Neo carries the weight of being that boss battle, but the actual Spamton battle that you do first, maybe not so much. So now I have him hovering here kind of at the beginning of B tier, and I feel like that's probably appropriate. Attack of the Killer Queen is no different from every other banger boss theme that we've had on this list. And I said it during the Undertale video, I'll say it again here during Deltarune. It sounds like there were some songs that Toby just put a little bit more thought and effort into. And I'm not saying that he did that maliciously of saying like, well, this one is good enough, or this one has to be better than everything else. But it's definitely obvious that attention can be divided sometimes. And I mean, listen, it's to be expected. He made this game in a fever dream, right? So, like, you know, cut him some slack. And Attack of the Killer Queen is a really good theme. This song might have come to him in a fever dream. I think especially if you're a fan of Deltarune and Undertale, it's one that you are very familiar with. And it does hold a nice place for the community and for me. And I'm going to be honest, I do kind of like King's theme more than Queen, but I think they're both really good. I'm going to put them up here at S tier, kind of in between each other. But again, I think both King and Queen's themes are really good, and they're also meant to play off each other. So it's fun having them next to each other in the tier list. And now we get to the final theme in the Deltarune chapters 1 and 2 boss battle theme tier lists. And this is the theme for Giga Queen, Giga Size. And this is another one of those where it sounds a lot more dark, it sounds a lot more melancholic, it sounds a lot more brooding than you'd be familiar with. Kind of has the same vibes of Susie, it kind of has the same vibes of Spamton Neo, it has those kind of stabbing chords. And I mean, this is only chapters 1 and 2, right? Kind of has everything pulled together in one. It still somehow comes back to help out the visuals of everything that's going on. Everything that's happening on your screen causes a sound that you're hearing. And honestly, because it's so dark, because it's so brooding, because it has that different sound than everything else that you're going to hear in this game, it has its own identity. Pulling those elements from other songs is very interesting, so it obviously helps the build. And then, as I've said before, emotionally, it's dark, it's intense, it's brooding. I think this one really knocks it out of the park. Personally, I don't know that this is my favorite boss battle theme in chapters 1 and 2, but it's definitely really good. And I want to put Giga Queen up here at S tier. Now, one of the things that I want to do just based off of comments now that we kind of have our initial rankings is go through and just real quick kind of move things around, think about do they need to be here? Also just to kind of adjust the weight, because we have a lot. We have A and B tier filled up, we have nothing in C. So I think tracks like Heartbeat True that I wasn't really a huge fan of, we can definitely move down to C tier. Jevil I really liked, but Jevil and Rules Card I'm a little impartial on. I like Jevil more than I like Rules Card, but I also don't know that Rules Card goes down to C tier, and this is kind of the point of this where I can have these two head to head. I think that when all is said and done, Jevil probably did more things right than Rules Card. I think it definitely aids the visuals more than Rules Card did. It definitely pulls out the intense emotions and has those circus vibes. So I think that Jevil did more things right. I'm going to move Rules Card down here to C tier, but I'm going to put Rules Card in front of Heartbeat True. Another thing that I'm looking at here in A tier is Smart Race versus the Cyber Battle. The Cyber Battle was really good and Smart Race was really good, but Smart Race was also one of the first ones that we kind of looked at here on this tier list. I think one of the things that interested me about Cyber Battle is that it's kind of like 3 different things mashed together. Smart Race doesn't really have the same story behind it, and Cyber Battle is really unique. It has a really unique identity, kind of fitting in that almost like elevator holding music type. It's just something that I enjoy. So I think I'm gonna have to put Cyber Battle in front of Smart Race, and honestly, I think we're even gonna move Smart Race down here to the very front of B tier, just because the songs that are down here at B tier kind of lack their own identity. They're built well. They have that kind of stereotypical Undertale Deltarune sound, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're still good in a group of greats, but I definitely think it stands out. And so that is going to bring us to the end of ranking every boss battle theme in chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so that way you are notified whatever I post, whenever I post. You are not going to want to miss 2026, because if you thought 2025 was fun, we are only getting started. If you have any other video games that you want me to rank, whether they're boss battles, levels, or otherwise, let me know in the comments section below. And again, I just wanted to say thank you everybody for an awesome 2025. 2026 is going to be even better. And if this video can get 10 likes, then we will go and do chapters 3 and 4 of the boss battle themes in Deltarune. But before we can get all that, we have to end this one, so I will see you guys next year in 2026. And if you want to hang out with me, you can feel free to join my Discord. I stream over on Twitch and YouTube. I also post TikToks and shorts, so there's still plenty of coming out this year, but this is going to be the last video for 2025. So I'll see you guys in 2026. I hope you have a safe and happy holidays. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!